Well, up next, another entry on the playlist of our lives.
It must be your skin, I'm sinking in. Must be for real, 'cause now I can feel I didn't mind. It's not my kind, it's not my time to wonder why everything gone white and everything's gray. Now you're here, now you're away. I don't want this, remember that. I'll never forget where you're at. Don't let the days go by. Glycerin.
I know for a fact half of you are singing along right now. In fact, I didn't even know where we could fade that song. We could have just played the whole thing, but we wouldn't want to make our guest wait. Released November 1st, 1994 on their debut album 16 Stone. That is, of course, Bush with Glycerin. It's a song I listened to and watched probably 6 times per day thanks to Much Music. Their music is still being played hundreds of millions of times just on Spotify alone. And just the mere mention of Gavin Rossdale's name made several people I know flutter this week. Well, lucky us, Bush is bringing their greatest hits world tour to Saskatchewan on April 28th, and we are very grateful to have Gavin Rossdale join us right now. Good afternoon, Gavin.
How are you?
So the world tour started in Chile and Brazil, and my goodness, I don't even think you had to sing. What was that experience like?
Incredible. I mean, wow. Everything they say about the Brazilian, South American crowds. I mean, Chile was just, they just make you feel so popular. Just like I'm going to feel coming up to Canada. Saskatoon is going to feel the same way.
Yeah, why bring this massive world tour to Canada and so early in the tour?
Well, much like life, I'd say, why not? You got to be somewhere. People, whenever they see me somewhere, they get, it's a beautiful exchange. Or someone's excited to see me. I say, well, I got to be somewhere. I can't believe you're here. I got to be somewhere. So I don't know. We'd done on our tours. We'd sort of come into Toronto, maybe Vancouver. It's not good enough, I feel like we had so much history in Canada that, it felt good to do a real thorough, proper tour. I think that what happened was the Canadian tour, Toronto, blew up last time. Our promoter from Live Nation, Steve, he's from Canada. He was so excited about that. And I said to him, I keep telling you guys, we should do a tour of Canada. Why wouldn't we do that? It's our greatest country. Why wouldn't we do that? And so here we are, many years late doing it. We're doing it. So I don't know.
Well, look, I want to talk about how much Canada loves you, but, Gavin, I learned everything I know about music from my older sister. She's the one who had your first 2 albums. Was that the same for you when it comes to music?
Not really, no. There was a record store at the top of my street where I grew up, so my pocket money could be focused going up there. So that was an interesting eye-opener. But no, weirdly or interestingly, I come from a world of no music, no. I mean, we had my parents had Roberta Flack, Queen, maybe Elton John or something, Blondie. That was it, just very few records. Really melodic stuff, but it wasn't a big part of our house. But music for me was a great escape. So I have that different story of I didn't know that music would choose me because it had no backdrop of it, But I'm really glad it did.
So are we. How did your band transform into the Bush we know and love from Future Primitive?
Well, from Primitive, well, I when I first met that guy Nigel, I begged him to be. Well, I didn't beg him, but I was like, "Let's start a band," And he said, "Look, wasn't really interested in doing a band." And then I said, "Will you help me record some demos?" Or he said he'd help me do some demos, but he wasn't interested in writing with me because he was getting 1,000 pounds a time. He was doing these training videos for like company retreats, different things. So he's getting this money, and I was obviously bringing him no money. So he said, if you have anything and I have time, I will just demo things up for you and, you know, help you along your way. And so I was forced to have to sit and figure out how to write songs, you know. I wasn't very good, you know, so I was like, and so then all those songs off of 16 Stone were songs that I just would take him, and then I'd take 2 or 3 songs and, you know, calm down little things and, you know, swim. And then I thought that'd be it. I'll be an easy street. I said, can we write together? And he says, no, this is working out right. You do it like that. I'm busy getting paid over there. So we always did it like that. And then I just bring him songs. And then he was really good at demoing them up. So how it got to that, and then we just fleshed it out. We heard about Dave, and I had one friend of mine who was a drummer with me, a screenwriter, great guy, was on heroin the whole time. I didn't realize that. So he stopped to go and get sober. We got this Iranian drummer, Amir. He was brilliant, loved him. And then he quit to join a 12-piece jazz group. So, and then I got a record deal. I met a guy, and a month later I got a record deal. So I kept the new guy. So that's how I was born. If you asked how I was born.
Yeah. Well, and did things take off immediately, you know, in April and May 95 when you released those first singles, Everything's Zen and Little Things?
Yeah, but the previous year we'd gone back to work, you know, because we lost our distribution. So it was sort of it was a great dramatic moment.
What were you doing? Where did you go back to work, Evan?
I was painting 12 identical or 11 identical dentist offices in the West End of London, all in magnolia and all the same shape. So you didn't know if you were on one number 3 or number 7. It was like Kafka. So it was like hardcore. But I'd made the record then, so I wasn't expecting any success. I didn't really know what success was possible. I just thought it was cool as fuck to have made a record after all these years of saying I was a musician. And when I said that, I was basically saying I was an unsigned artist. And so just having a record deal and just making a record was enough. You know, I'd met one guy once, Colin. He'd made a record. He's my aunt's boyfriend. I thought it was a super cool guy. He had an album. It's Colin, someone, and I just thought, yeah, man, it's super cool. I had very low expectations.
So where do you go from low expectations, painting dental offices, to realizing you just made an album that was about to go 6-time platinum in both Canada and the United States?
When did I realize that?
When did you realize it was really blowing up and taking off and reaching people everywhere?
The first show we did in on tour, I think in that February of 95, which was CBGB's in New York City. And it's just a bullshit tiny bar with a lot of history. Tons of bands gone through there. You know, it's like a kind of shithole, you know? One bathroom for everyone, including the band. Things are like chaos, you know? But really fun, and all the best bands had played there. So it was super exciting to play there. I like the smell of old beer, and you know, I grew up in a pub, lived in a pub for a while when I was a kid, so kind of like nasty stench in bathrooms you piss in quickly and get out. I'm used to that, you know. So, but when I went back, we went out for dinner or whatever, ready to get something to eat before the show, and we did a sound check, and when we came back it was packed, and that's when the record had gone to the radio, so it was packed, and like it was just full of like cool dudes that you'd want to be like, you know, perfectly have to be bros with, you know, like, you know, sort of like a cool crowd. And then just cool girls with tattoos and attitude in New York. And like, you know, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking great. And we couldn't get to the stage. So that's when I thought, fuck, this is really, and then it just never stopped, because then all we did is we didn't stop playing, so I didn't stop having that crowd. And yeah, it didn't really stop. I mean, I took a few years off in 2000, you know, whatever, and then came back with Sound of Winter with a kind of different band, but all Bush.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
seamlessly.
Well, again, I mean, you were just as successful in Canada as you were in the United States, but we had something a little bit different. And Gavin, still to this day, I instinctively want to call it Bush X because we have that unique connection. What do you remember about that? Like, did you learn like, hey, you can't be called Bush in Canada specifically? What do you remember about that?
I remember that when the beat did it and they called themselves the English beat, I was like, why do you want to make it so big? So I was like, what's the smallest thing you can do? So I put a little X above Bush, just so it'd be the most minimal. It's still Bush. You know, you can call it Bush X, whatever it was Bush. You know, the main thing you say is Bush. That's a lot of word before you get to X, right? So that was all. And I found out this whole thing about Dominic Triano, and I found out about the guys that I was working with who were just too aggressive towards him. And it'd been in the 70s, people didn't give a shit, but it's just, I think, the way they approached it or something. He said to me, man, you know, I didn't care that much. I don't know. So it was one of those weird ones. I was just really glad I didn't put, you know, the We Love Arsenal Bush. You know, something like that.
Are you an Arsenal supporter?
Yeah.
Well, they're playing Champions League game right now as we're talking. I feel bad.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of professional that I am.
That is right. Well, I won't tell you what the score is then.
Thank you.
So November 14th, 1995, I mentioned in the intro, you know, what do you remember about releasing the single and the music video for Glycerin? Because I'm not kidding. We used to grow up, I mean, in Canada it was Much Music, obviously elsewhere it was MTV, but it would play, you know, 6-7 times a day, and we just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the greatest thing. Even when you write a song that connects with people, and it's just so wild because I wrote that with zero expectation, knowledge of what it would do. I've been writing for years. I've been failing for years. So it was like, to me, it was just another song. I did think it was quite good, and I did play it to my band to be like, is this someone else's song? Because it felt more cohesive than anything I'd done. It summed up a period of time I'd gone through really well. Now I've gotten better at it, where I can write a song and I look back and I think that it was inspired by a certain event, certain moment, certain line, certain thought process, even if I add loads of things to it later on. And so I just love it. You know, I'm really grateful to it.
Well, almost exactly a year later, you drop Razorblade Suitcase, another banger, another 5 times platinum in Canada. You know, I read though that you said you created this album at a time, Coach, when my life was falling apart. What's it like for you to relive it now and you know, play it nowadays? And another album that is so much loved.
Well, I think that people underestimate the sacrifice that anyone makes in order to chase the dreams that we all have. And the truth is, your life does fall apart. And ironically, when you tour a lot and you tour with your techs, you know, you get a sense that it's even harder for them because they go from tour to tour. We do get to go home. We do get to go make records. So it strings you. You get strung out on tour. It's hard. You travel. I'm not complaining. It's beautiful, but it's noble because it's got heroism in it, you know, in the sacrifice and the kind of the way your body feels and the turning up to 10 every night, making every show the best you can, giving a shit night after night, you know?
Well, again, coming back, I can't imagine what that's like to be painting dentist's office, you know, 2 years before you release these massive albums and touring the world. Like, that's got to be a transition.
Being a real person, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't come from. I'm not a trust fund kid. You know, this wasn't a pastime. It's all I had. So I'm really glad that it worked out. And then I just had a knack for it, a niche. And I think I'm just in that beautiful Japanese tradition of just devoting your life to one thing. You know, that is how to communicate my emotions through music or with music to music. You know, it's wild. I mean, it's fucking crazy. We have Starlink and electric cars and modern machinery, and I just get to write songs with modern machinery, use modern machinery once the idea's out. But it's just so wild. And who knows, maybe, I mean, the human experience is a human experience. So I was thinking about AI, but less than that.
Well, finally, Gavin, your first two albums bookend what I consider to be one of the best years in music history, 1995. That is when all the 16 Stone singles came out. As a musician during that period, what do you think made it so special? Or do you think it was special in 95?
Yes, for sure. There was a, well, I think what happened is, and I feel like I rode that wave. I spent a lot of years a bit confused about music, especially the band I was in before Bush. The guy wouldn't let me play guitar, Emil. He's a lovely guy, really good guitar player, very bluesy, but a really amazing guitar player. And he was playing stuff that I think it was just more blues-based, more stuff that I didn't really feel connected to. It felt like I was fraudulent, like I was like a, white boy from London singing on blues music. It just felt weird. I didn't feel connected, right? And when I started to write on my own, I noticed that I never relied on those blues changes in my music. And that made me suddenly realize, liberated me. And that was at the same time that all those great bands, Alice in Chains, was all the great rock bands. They showed me, I got inspired that you could make rock music that wasn't like Poison, Guns N' Roses, the hair metal. That's what rock was to me. I like punk, and I was like post-punk, and I like the next bit, but I was, what is it like? And so I really found that doing music myself, I avoided that sound and created a different sound. And then I could have all the plaintive singing that I like, all that stuff. And that's just, so that was a really good time. And I think other people got inspired by that free open road, that you could make rock music that you didn't have to sort of tease your hair to. And you could, do that. It's closer to punk music, closer to metal, I don't know. And then I got closer to metal anyway. We changed this last 4 records, of all being detuned, crazier stuff, much more metal. Nothing to do with that sound. Nothing to do with that sound. Nothing. No quiet, loud stuff. No standard tuning on the big songs, always detuned. So when he goes, it really middle-eights to fucking get you, make you crumble. I have songs that I'm so excited. So good. Like the single Latin Milk and Honey. I think that's the one, or 60 Ways to Forget People. They have these like middle sections that just like will destroy you with time changes and this and that and vibe, and it's exciting, it's exciting. I'm aware. I don't know what the future has for it. I just know that if whoever checks it out, will really enjoy it.
Gavin, congratulations on an amazing career. Thanks for coming back to Saskatchewan, and thanks for 2 albums that have a huge influence on so many people my age especially.
Yeah. And we keep them coming, baby. Yeah.